Hello everyone, welcome to your fifth ZBrush tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to learn about deformation and mirroring and also a little bit of rendering using filters. So first thing we're going to do is open a ZBrush. I'm going to speed through this one, so we're going to do the same thing we do all the time. New document. Okay, I'm just going to make the sphere, simple one. Hit edit, make polymesh 3D, Ctrl D a few times. And we've done this like a million times, so I'm just literally making it as fast as I can. So deformation actually is something really fun, and it allows you to come up with a lot of, interesting conceptual shapes. And it's actually one of my fun, things I really enjoy doing when I'm trying to figure out like something new or something a little bit more, conceptual with the design. So to go there, all you have to do is go scroll down here and then go to deformation. And here you have all the things you can do with your, object. I'm using a mouse today because I just felt like it, to be honest. There's no reason. Let's use a mouse today. I mean, also to show you that you can actually do these things without having the tablet or the pen tablet. So first thing you're going to notice is we have a lot of options to do. So here you can see, if you just play around with it, you can see you can, change the size, you can bend, you can skew, flatten, you can twist it. The other thing you can see is that you have here the axis, so X, Y, Z. And in ZBrush, it's a little bit different because the Y is actually the one going up. So if you want to know, if you just go to the floor, and here you can see this is Y. If you do see these little tiny X, Y, Z, you can see that it shows you the axis. So this is the X, this is the Y, and this is the Z. Okay, so we're just gonna zoom out of it, show you which is which, like that. So it's important because here you can see that there's axes in the the deformation panel. So you can see here we're rotating along the Y and the Z axis. Here's the size. You can say I want to change the size only in the X, and just do that easily. You can say I want to do it in the Y. Let's go out of it. Let's go twist even, paper. So my suggestion would be to play around with all of them and change the axes and see what they do. Because honestly, they're very fun and can come up with a lot of interesting shapes just by playing around with the options. So you can see you can do it either, in the plus, and there's no limit. Like you can go like this, it goes back to 0, you can do it again. So you can do a lot of things, honestly, with these deformation options. So let's see, you can do twist again. So here you can even change the x-axis and twist. You can do the skew, twist, bend it. So you can always have like interesting shapes just by really playing around with the options. Another tip I would give you is you can also use the polish. So let's say okay, let's say you do a lot of noise and you're like, or maybe you did so much, I don't know, it just looks a bit too, pixelated or whatever. If you just hit polish, you can see that you can make it look smoother and more better. You can also use the Ctrl D to add more active points, but the polish, I mean, it really makes it nice. So twist. And you can see you can really spend a lot of time just trying to come up with a lot of interesting shapes. So we're just gonna do a little bit of the more twist maybe. Okay. Plate a bit. You can spherize. Gravity also is really fun. Like you can have very interesting shapes with the gravity. Like that. I could also put a perspective. And maybe with X. Okay. So the other thing we're gonna learn today is something called mirroring. So if you just see here in the mirror, if you just click on the mirror, oh sorry, because we have multiple subdivisions, I hit Ctrl D multiple times if you guys remember. So we'll just go to geometry and make sure that we delete the lower, and then it works. So make sure, like, if it says, you know, there's a lot of subdivision points, all you have to do is just delete lower, and you know you're fine again. Let's go back to deformation. If you hit mirror, you can see that it will mirror it along whatever axis is like highlighted in here. So if it's the X, then it's the X, Z, Z. The other cool tip that I can give you is that if you hit W, you can get the move tool, or just, you know, I think this move button. And this, just clicking it and moving it, you can just go around the axis. But if you click Control, as you can see down here, hit Control, and you just choose one of the arrows, you can actually get a copy. And this is a really cool thing, like you can have multiple copies of the same thing. And as you can see, like we took last time, there's the masking, so that's why this is highlighted in white and these are like dark gray. So to make them all like in one shape, this is Control, make a rectangle outside, then you have. So this is really fun. I think I'm just gonna choose 2 for now, and you can see that we can mirror it on top. Now let's say you want to mirror it, but you want to keep the mirror. So like you have this shape, let's say, and you want to have the exact same shape on the other side. Now one way to do it, you can actually do Control and then rotate it. As you can see, I'm hitting Shift and Control at the same time. You can do this, or there's something called mirror and weld, and this is something really cool in Zbrush, and it exists in, where was it? It was here in geometry. Go all the way down to, was it in modify topology? Yep, here. In modify topology, you just go mirror and weld. We just click this. You can see that along the axis of your, let's call it gizmo. Anyway, it just, you know, mirrored it in the x-axis. So let's say you want it in the y-axis, which is going to be up, down. So just hit mirror and weld. You can see that it mirror and welds here. You can actually play with your axis if you want. So let's say I want the axis to be here. What you do is just hit Alt, and then it unlocks it, and you can just move it here, and then hit mirror and weld. You can see that. Wait, okay, this is not enough. Let's make it on the X. Hit mirror and weld, and as you can see, it did it around this axis. Now, what you really need to do is click on this called local symmetry. Now, if you hit mirror and weld, it will make it exactly on the axis of your gizmo. So make sure that this is like highlighted so you can have the perfect symmetry along the axis which you really want, because that one was a little bit too, I think it's called the global axis and this is the local axis. So make sure that this is the symmetry is put on. And now the cool thing is you can do another deformation with it. You know, open deformation again, start playing around. Okay, the next cue. Let's try this. Okay, too much. So as you can see, you can have a lot of really complicated shapes very easily, just using deformation, mirroring, and just copying and, you know, playing around. So it's a really fun tool to use. especially if you're like a beginner and you just want to do something really, you know, experimental, then I would suggest playing around with the deformation. Bend, whoops, much gravity. Anyway, so yeah, I think this was it for the deformation. Hit Q, go back to the brush. I feel like this is too much. Let me just tone it down. Hit F, go back. Okay, let's do another symmetry maybe. But you know, I want both, so I'll do symmetry and weld. So as we go, we went to geometry, go all the way down to mirror and weld. Make sure we can see the gizmo, so W. We'll unlock it, move it somewhere here, and let's hit mirror and weld. Okay, so maybe the Z-axis. So as you can see, like, it's a little bit flipped because the Y-axis in ZBrush is like usually the Z-axis in other 3D models. So, I mean 3D programs. Let's do it again. Oops. Let's go back to the other side. Here. Yep, there we go. So, this was our interesting shape. As you can see, you can do anything you want with it now. Like you can make it like this. You can play around with the, you know, or like the size, and you can see Y size bigger. Although you can just do it here, but you know, it's nice to know you have like a button here. And what else can you do? I think this is enough for the deformation panel. So my suggestion would be just play around with it, play with the mirroring and welding, and you know, see like when you change the axis here, like whatever is highlighted is the axis, and see like what you can get. So also today, what we're gonna learn is a little bit of filtering. I'm not filtering, but like rendering using filters. If you just click the render button, which is here, you get the default render. So just wait for it. You get this one. Today, actually, for the first time ever, we're going to use the light box, which we've been closing and ignoring for like the past 4 lectures. So if it's light box, you see you have a lot of files going on. Go all the way to something called filters. If you click filters, you can see a lot of rendering options actually from other people who actually designed these things. So let's choose one of them. Let's say I want this one. Double click. It's pixelated. Pixel art. Well, okay, never mind. Let's do maybe arrangement. Okay, that's interesting. Now, if you want to see it, don't click here, because if you click here, you're going to lose it. So what you want to do actually is double click it. Then you can get the render. Well, okay. You have to be in rendering mode to see the rendered filters. This is going to take a while for you to like get used to, but if you just close, now that we double clicked it, we're just telling the program, okay, this is the filter I want you to render in. Keep it in mind. If I close the light box now, if I render, it's going to use the same filter that I double clicked. But you get a preview if you're already in the rendering mode. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Okay, let's go back to light box. Down like this. Let's see what this children's book. Because I'm still in, like in render mode, it's going to show me a preview of it. But the moment I click here, I'm like outside the render mode. So try not to click away from your light box for now. Double click green. Let's see this one, black and white. Anime. So there's a lot of cool options you can play around with. And as you can see, you can have a lot of really nice, you know, like a very conceptual experimental shape with a nice filter on, and you have like a really interesting design presentation out there. Okay, this one's nice. Close the light box. Something like this. The cool thing actually is if you change the material, you can also have it with the filter. So like have a filter and a material at the same time, and it will show. So let's choose maybe red. Hit the random button again. As you can see, we have nice, interesting filter rendered. Let's see. Okay, last filter. Let's choose something like comic stylines. Let me see. Oh, now it's just loading. If it doesn't work, then you're not in render mode. So just click it here. And whoops. It did not take the material. I think it really depends on the filter, to be honest. Let's see. Now, if you want the default again, you're like, oh my god, I don't know what happened. I don't like any of these weird filters. Your default is here. It's called default. Zbrush is the LP, double click. And now if you render your path to your, well, render mode. My suggestion if you're rendering is to like, add a floor. So now the floor is like, okay, you're wondering, like, there's a floor, it's highlighted, but why there's no floor? Well, actually, you have to choose an axis. So it's the X, Y, Z. Usually it's the Y because, you know, usually the Z axis. So click it, and now you have floor. When you render, you get some shadows, which is really nice. There you go, and we have a nice shadow under our design. So I hope today's lecture was fun. Honestly, this is the fun part of ZBrush. I mean, for me personally, if I'm trying to figure out a shape or I want to do something really experimental and really interesting, I just use the deformation, options and start playing around. And always remember, polish it. Whatever you messed up and it looks really bad, try to polish it as much as you can. And there's like no limit for polishing. Like you just grab it and goes back to zero again, and then grab it and goes back to zero again. So you can polish your 3D as much as you want. Now I polished it while I'm rendering, so it's gonna lag a bit. Anyway, the tutorial is done, to be honest. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial for today. Try to practice deformation, try to practice mirror and welding, and try to also practice on your symmetry, when like to understand the axis in ZBrush, and also play around with the filters and the rendering. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Actually, I realized I forgot to tell you guys how to save it. So, okay. So actually, after I was done doing the tutorial, I realized I never showed you guys how to save the image. I might have mentioned it before, but I feel like maybe I should mention it again. If you want to save the render that you have, so let's say you got this render and you're like, yay, it's nice, I want to do a nice JPEG or PNG of it. All you have to do is go to Documents and go to Export. And then you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it, I don't know, red shape. Save. Now, don't click anywhere. See this OK button down here? You have to click OK. And then you have a nice rendered image of your 3D. So yeah, this was just like a little tiny detail that I forgot to mention. And I really hope you guys had fun in this tutorial. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.